Coming up, Apple launched a thing.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Scott and Shaun Preece.
Now, look, I don't want to preempt the news of the day, but, okay, I want to dive right in. I've got to dive right in, Shaun Preece.
Yes, you have. I mean, Apple launch a thing doesn't really give us the news and the detail of the matter, but yes, exciting times.
Details, facts, double tap.
This is double tap.
No, come on, that's not how it works. Yes, we can tell you today. Finally, we can tell you.
News.
Yeah, sorry, we're a bit
News.
late on the air today, but we thought we'd hold off because there is big news today, of course. That is Apple announcing what we kind of thought was coming, although you never know with Apple. Even up until the last few minutes, people were thinking, is this really going to be all they're announcing? Is another phone, which is actually a budget iPhone, really? And yes, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, I mean, that's what they said they were going to announce. They did.
A budget iPhone sells like hotcakes. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm not surprised at all. Even though I said, no, it won't be released, I'm still not surprised.
Yeah, you said it wasn't going to be released. I must remember to pick you up on that later.
Technically, I was correct because the iPhone SE4 was not released.
Oh, you've done it that way, I see. Okay, all
technicalities.
Right. Okay.
You can't beat
I'll give
them.
you that. Yes, you're right, actually, because it has. It's got a brand new name, the iPhone 16e. Ooh, do you like that? No.
What does the E stand for?
Excellent.
Thank you. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. Yes, okay.
Amazing.
It's stop.
Energetic.
The iPhone 16e joins the family of 16 phones. Does this mean the iPhone SE brand is dead?
Well, it means the S part is dead, for sure. The S is gone.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
The E has cutbacks over at Apple, clearly. So they're getting rid of letters one by one. So, yeah, they're going to stick to this. And like you say, it's part of the 16 family. So my question is, are they going to bring out a 17E, an 18E? Is this going to become a thing? The SE was never an every-year phone. It came out every second year, right? So it was 2020, 2022, nothing until 2024. So, 5, because here we are in 2025. We were expecting it in 2024, but it never happened. So,
well, the whole concept of the whole ethos of the SE range was that it was using the very latest innards, if you like.
I love that word.
The processor, the key features of a more recent flagship iPhone, but putting it in a smaller body mostly, or an older body. But this has really sort of turned all that around, I would say.
What are you making of all the announcements so far? What are you thinking?
Well, firstly, I'm thinking we could have cut off half of that because all the Apple Intelligence stuff we've heard previously anyway. But the important things here are, of course, the processor, because we're talking the same processor in the iPhone 16 range.
Yeah.
So you're talking, top of the line processor here. There is also the camera, which is very interesting. The bump in the camera, single camera only. But you know what? I honestly don't care about that. I don't even notice the multiple cameras on my Pro. So a single camera I quite like, and USB-C, losing the home button, Face ID. These all, I don't see any negatives here at all. And even, I'm quite happy it's got an action button, because all the rumors that I was reading were suggesting that it would go back to the old mute switch. But having the action button is I do like that. And missing the camera control button, which I'm assuming it doesn't have.
No, it doesn't.
I'm not going to miss that. And it's interesting how they mentioned visual intelligence using the action button, which is the only thing I would have really cared about the camera button, camera control button for anyway. So I think it hits everything there. It sounds very nice.
It does. I kind of wonder what you're losing. I mean, okay, so you're losing the camera control button if you don't go for the 16 or the 16 range. And of course, I know for the ones who will always shout about, oh, you must buy a Pro because it's got LiDAR. Like, everyone uses LiDAR all the time. So, spend thousands on that if you like. But if you're going to use it once or twice a year, then, I wouldn't spend the money on it.
Oof,
I would seriously consider. No, I can't be bothered with all this nonsense about LiDAR. I get it. I get the value of it. And if you feel the use case for it, great. But it's a lot of money compared to this. This is a much cheaper option. And I don't know if you need LiDAR. I mean, look, and if you need it, right? So forget it. You're just going to buy the Pro. I think a lot of people out there are not going to require it, and actually for that reason could look at a cheaper option. Look, how many times do we have people say to us, I can't afford to buy these new iPhones. They sound great, but they're so expensive. And of course, you have that entry price, but then you got to pay more to get more storage, and you want the more storage. So you're spending an absolute fortune. Whereas, the SE comes along, or as it's now known, the 16E, and you've got a cheaper option, a cheaper entry point. And don't forget, of course, you can always buy refurbished, and you can buy, from the trade-ins, the refurbished part of Apple's store. You can do that. That's good.
That's a really interesting point, and something I don't know yet. What is the price point here? Do we know?
Well, we'll get to that because it's not my notes right where we're standing. So just
okay.
Let's walk through this.
I jumped ahead.
You're jumping ahead there, but 48 megapixel camera. That's another thing which is, I guess, quite interesting. I mean, again, it puts it on a par with the iPhone 16 and the Pro,
exactly.
Actually, as well.
With, by the way, a 2x optical zoom built in as well. So, it takes away the need for a separate telescopic camera or a widescreen camera lens anyway. So, yeah, I actually like that.
Yeah. Also, this new modem is in there as well, the C1 modem. Now, that is something which, it was interesting. I was seeing a couple of commentators just in the last hour saying, this sounds great, but, it's actually a much bigger announcement than Apple are kind of making this out to be. This is pretty big. That Apple have done this, and they're like, they've given it 10 seconds in a presentation. But the amount of years of work that's gone into this is quite incredible. Of course, for the vast majority of people, and I guess for Apple, that might be an intentional decision not to make a big deal out of it, because really it shouldn't make any difference to the user, right? Essentially, it should just feel like anything else. No one would even notice the difference if you didn't know.
I mean, what was it usually? Is it? I don't even know what the make of the internal.
It was Qualcomm before. It was Qualcomm.
Was it Qualcomm, yeah, not Broadcom?
I think it was Qualcomm modems, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, no one's going to care about that sort of level when it comes down to the specs, I suppose.
That's Tim Cook's calling you to double check.
Bear with me 1 second, sorry.
Go check what Tim's saying there. I want to mention as well, obviously the camera functionality is great, battery performance as well. In fact, let's dig into this a bit more while Shaun answers his calls.
But again,
was that Tim Cook, by the way? Was it Tim Cook on the line?
It was Tim, yeah.
Okay.
He was just asking how I thought it went. I said, You did a good job, Timmy Apples, well done.
Timmy Apples is happy. Good.
I want to go back to what you said before the video there of what we're missing here. Why would anyone go for the regular 16 range over this? Do you think there's anything missing that people are going to say, this makes the decision for me? Do you think anyone will downgrade to the 16E from a 16?
That's a question. I don't think you would do that. I think if you've got a 16, you'll stay where you are. No one's going to downgrade from a 16 or 16 Pro to a 16E. I would be very surprised.
Well, if you're still paying it off, for example, on your monthly contract, and you could, trade it back and save some money, $200, $300, $400, would you?
Yeah, if that's even possible, I don't know. Look, I mean, what hasn't it got? Well, here's something. MagSafe doesn't have MagSafe in there. So
what?
Yeah, no ability. Now, it does have wireless charging, right? It will sit on your wireless charger and charge like any other phone would. But it won't have MagSafe.
Yes, it won't sit on any of my vertical MagSafe chargers that I've got.
It'll lie on them, but it won't sit on them. No, exactly. So if you've got any vertical ones, it won't work. Unless, of course, it's one of those ones that you can sit the phone on like I do with the Android phones.
That seems a really strange omission to me, MagSafe, because, the MagSafe accessories, the wallet, the chargers, the battery packs, why would they leave that? That's just a ring of magnets baked into the back of the phone. Why on earth would they leave that out?
To differentiate it from the 16, I guess. I mean, they've got to have some reason to do that. Now, there are other things. You mentioned it earlier, of course, and we've picked up on this. The camera control button isn't there. We can debate whether that's useful or not. I was thinking about it the other day. I never use it. And it's funny because it's always when I remember the other day, dog, little Oni. There he was. Yes.
Well done. Found the button.
So he's up there on the sofa behind me, and he's lying behind me. I thought, this would be a great time to take a selfie. Yes. And there I was, going through the thing, looking for the camera button on the home screen, double tapping that, going to selfie. And I'm thinking, it was afterwards I thought, I could just hit that camera control button.
Yes.
Didn't even do it. I just completely forget it's there all the time. I just keep thinking, wow, it's weird to have a weird notch out of my camera case, like someone's just cut it out with a
Well, that's
with a
just
pair of
user
scissors.
error, isn't it? You can't blame Apple for you not remembering to use it. I mean, eventually
Yeah.
you will remember it's there. It depends how often, again, in our community, how many people take photos and care about photos.
No, I think more than you think. I'd say
No,
more
I
than you
don't.
think these days.
No, I
actually.
say no. No, well, you're wrong.
Well, yeah, just because you do it, listen, you've turned into me over the years. Just because you do it doesn't mean everyone else does.
What else are we missing?
Ultra wide camera. Now that
Yeah.
would seem fair enough, I suppose.
Yep.
Dynamic island. There's no dynamic island.
Okay, what does that mean?
What? No
Dynamic
dynamic
island-
island.
Yes, that's just a software thing, right?
Yeah, so basically your notch in your phone comes to life. And you can use it for, or it'll show up things up there. Like, for example, if you've got an Uber Eats delivery. I mean, I know someone who might have that coming, might notice it. Not me.
I don't
But,
know.
if you had a KFC on the way, you would be able
KFC Island.
The KFC, yes.
Let me just
Look,
let me-
Dynamic Island is a place I don't go. It's I'm sure it's a lovely place.
Nobody does. That
don't
thing is
care.
going to die out. Nobody cares about dynamic island. But I'm curious about what they mean by that. Is there a hardware notch not there? What do they mean? That's confusing to me. But yeah, I don't care about dynamic island. Sorry, move on.
There's also thought about better colors. Again, I mentioned this, that the colors are a bit lacking. Faster wireless charging. You get faster wireless charging on the 16 and the 16 Pro. And Wi-Fi 7 you get on those, but you won't get on the 16E. And it also says here the tougher ceramic shield. I took a note of that, but I think it does have a ceramic shield.
Well, she just said there, a ceramic
Yeah,
shield
so
makes
I
it 4 times
Unless
tougher
it's a
than-
different type or something. I don't know. But yeah,
Could be. The only things that stick out to me out of that list of missing features are MagSafe. Again, that's debatable. It depends how much you've invested in the MagSafe ecosystem. But Wi-Fi 7, maybe? What Wi-Fi protocol does it support then?
I would guess it's going to be
6E?
6E, which would kind of tie in with the name, I suppose.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, which is more than fast enough for most people. Most people aren't even going to care about Wi-Fi 7 either. This is it's tricky to recommend any of the other range, to be honest.
But let's talk about who the people are who are going to buy this. Is this someone who's on an iPhone 12 or an iPhone 13 or maybe even on an Android phone wanting to make the switch over? And of course, we're talking to a blind audience here, right? So, I'm thinking who's going to buy this? I think there's lots of blind people who would benefit from this. This is, again, the typical blind iPhone, right? It's got everything in it you'll need. You can save money along the way. You're not caring about, fancier screens and all the rest of it. You don't have to pay the extra for that. You're going to get the same fast experience you do on the higher end phone or the higher end range, if you like, from 16 onwards.
Yep.
It's a good offer. It's a really good offer. And of course, remember, this isn't just about the US or Canada or the UK markets. This is also getting into other countries as well and competing with companies like Samsung at this level. This is something that Apple have done, and this is kind of really why this exists.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to have a huge impact. I think this is going to be incredibly successful. And maybe just, bring it into line with the iPhone 16 range. From a marketing point of view, it makes total sense. Hey, iPhone 16, that's the latest one.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone even care if it says E after it? They're just looking at the price tag after most of these models to see which one they can get. So, I just can't see any downside to this, especially in our community as well. We've been so happy with the SEs because of the affordability and the performance. You also mentioned the screen there. Actually, I think, this is a 6.1-inch screen, so it's not small. And that maybe put some people off. The iPhone SE was traditionally quite a smaller phone. The lack of home button, I know some people are going to be a little bit upset by that, but honestly, they'll get over it. Because it doesn't make a huge difference. Touch ID, yes, is more convenient, I would say, than Face ID, but it's fine. We manage without it. It is an OLED screen as well for low vision users out there. The higher saturation, higher contrast, maybe another cool feature. But yeah, I can't see any downsides here.
So price-wise, you asked me about that. So starting price, $899 Canadian. That is your beginning price. So you pay maybe $200 or $300 more, I think it is, if you wanted to move up to the iPhone 16, and of course, you just into the thousands then when you talk about the Pro. It's available in white and black. It's available in 128 gig, 256 gig, and 512 gig. Oddly enough, you'll not pay $899 for that. You'll pay more. How does that work, eh? It's funny how that goes. But yes, you'll pay more. You can pre-order from this coming Friday. That's the 21st of February, and shipping the week after. So yeah, it's going to be out soon, and I think it will be really popular. They never ever announce the sales figures for these, and I'd kind of love to know what the sales figures are, because most people are going to look at the 16E, go in and try it, think that's the one they want, and then be lured to the 16 or the Pro. And I think that's often how these companies work, right?
Yeah, I'm not convinced they will anymore. Again, it's almost, are you cannibalizing your own higher models?
Well, that's what I wonder. I mean, lack of Touch ID as well. That's an important thing to mention. No more Touch ID. It's gone. We kind of knew that was going anyway. Face ID replacing it. But no MagSafe on there. That's a strange one. USB-C, though, is there, so that's no surprise.
Had to be.
It had to be. I think legally they had to, because in Europe, they could no longer sell the iPhone SE.
Do you know what, though? Who isn't happy about that? I mean, who's complaining that I miss my lightning port? Absolutely nobody. It's a great move. No matter how it happened, if they were forced to do it, it's a great move.
Do you know what? I'll tell you this. My mother would love this phone, because I could set up, a feature we very rarely talk about on this show, and we should talk more about.
We just looked into it recently.
Well, yes, and actually, I think it may be something I'll do a demo on, because I think it's a really powerful little feature that very few people know about, and it's called Assistive Access, and it basically allows you to set up a phone for someone who may not be able to control the phone entirely by themselves. It also kind of walls off a lot of the phone, so you can kind of just get access to the bits of the phone that you want them to access, and you can also create like huge icons for. Great for people who have got dementia or struggle with cognition, or struggle to, just manage to use a phone every day. And, all the bells and whistles are great, but it can be completely overwhelming to a lot of people. So you can simplify that whole experience. It's a really powerful feature. I will say this. I think it's great. But we'll talk about that actually at some point. But I will say this. I think it's a great feature that could be a lot better if Apple opened it up a little bit. Because to me, Samsung years ago had a thing called Easy Mode. Yes. Which was basically a launcher. It was a launcher that kind of brought up huge icons on the screen. You could have, instead of having I don't know how many's on there, a grid of 20 or whatever it is, maybe more icons on a home screen, you could get 4 huge icons up there. And I know people are going to write in and I can hear Negative Julian tapping away saying, there already is this on Samsung or Android. I get that. But on the iPhone, there wasn't. And that was never an option. And that's what I thought Assistive Access was going to be. But it's not. And I kind of think Apple could open this up a little bit, and less making it close off everything else, actually, give us the opportunity to say, look, I'm setting this up for me, or I'm setting it up for someone else. And then you can sort of choose the path that you want to go. So you have the option to kind of play in your own phone. Because when I set it up at first, I couldn't access half the things on my phone. Because I had to lock myself out of a lot of things. And of course you can get back in with a password. It's not a problem. But it's not
I forgot my
design.
PIN number. I could not get out of Assistive.
But it's a great feature. So this kind of phone would be ideal for that kind of thing. I could see the 16E being the perfect phone for families, for mums and dads who don't necessarily care or want all the stuff, but they want a good camera to take pictures, but they don't really want the bells and whistles. They don't even care or think they want all that stuff. But, equally, if you do, you've got Apple Intelligence, you've got all the cool stuff in there. So, I don't know. I think it's a great deal.
Yeah, this is a very welcome addition, I think. This is very cool. You kind of glossed over the price there. This is more expensive than the traditional SEs were, right?
Is it? Maybe a little bit. I think it's $100 more, maybe.
$150 more than they used to start at before. Is that a tip over? It is very close to the iPhone 16.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's the
close.
most affordable way in, I suppose, and you are getting a lot for your money. We can't deny it.
Face ID, though. Ugh.
What's wrong with Face ID?
Touch ID in there as well. A little button at the top. Just like the iPad mini. Come on, Apple. Does no one listen to what I'm saying?
No.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on. Interesting story, though. Let's move on to some other stories, because it's not the only story in town today. Google Lens has got 2 new updates. Now, each month, Google Lens is used, according to Google, for more than 20 billion visual searches. And the company have announced 2 updates today. And these are essentially going to showcase and make it easier to search what you see across more apps and devices. So iOS users will find a new lens option that will let you select and search what's on your screen within Chrome or the Google app. Whether you're reading articles or watching videos, the feature will let you quickly do a visual search without switching apps or taking a screenshot. And for a long time, Lens has matched against a database of images on the web to identify billions of objects like plants and landmarks. Now, with the help of these new advanced AI models they can now go much further and provide information on the content of more unique images. Maybe you want to learn more about an interesting car texture, for example. All you have to, because I know we're all into that. All you've got to do is tap the camera icon in the search bar and snap a photo with Lens. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's a couple of new features that are coming to Google Lens from today.
Well, 20 billion requests can't be wrong. Google Lens is very impressive, actually. I haven't used it in a long time because I just tend to use Google Lookout for the things that want to use it for. But if you are doing a search or something like that, Google Lens, and as far as I remember, it was accessible as well. Maybe not the easiest thing to navigate, but it was definitely accessible. So maybe worth another look.
I tend to think the Google apps are a bit like Apple apps, right? I tend to find generally very few issues with accessibility. Actually, on that point, because I meant to mention this the other day, we were talking about Apple Maps, and it was interesting. I had gone into Google Maps recently because I had heard about a new feature that was there for more detailed voice guidance when you're out and about walking. Now, I haven't been out to try it yet, but I did go into settings, and you do have to enable it. Under settings, you can find detailed voice guidance, and if you flip that on, when you're in walking mode, when you're out and about, it will give you much more audible information to you to tell you about your trip. So can't wait to try that out.
No, me either. As I said the other day, I got dropped off in the wrong place by an Uber and was trying to find my destination, and I used Apple Maps and just totally walked the wrong way, and it said nothing. That would have been very useful. I didn't know you had to turn it on. I did see that release note about more detailed.
Yeah, because a lot of people might, like I have used Google Maps and thought, this could be a bit more verbose. Yeah. It could tell me a bit more.
Exactly.
But it's now in there. And I did check on iPhone, and of course I know it will be there on Android as well, which is wonderful, but definitely there on iPhone as well.
It's very nice. I got to say, Google Maps. I use it all the time when I'm looking for a company. Just type in what you're looking for in Google Maps. You get a list, you get the telephone number, you get a list of reviews. It's very good.
Another story to bring you, and it's a bit of an exclusive for us here at Double Tap, because look, I've got to say, I know there's been a lot of confusion and concern among people about the Oko app after it appeared to no longer be available in Canada. Now, while Oko was always unavailable in Quebec due to issues with pedestrian signals, the company temporarily pulled it from all of Canada to avoid confusion with its new subscription model. Now, after hearing the concerns of users and reading them on AppleViz, Double Tap reached out to Oko to better understand what's been going on. And the company have come back to us to confirm that they are working to restore access everywhere in Canada except Quebec, with a relaunch expected as soon as next week. So definitely coming back to Canada. Except Quebec. Which was away from anyway, so I'm a little bit confused as to what happened there.
I've got to say, this seems really strange. I mean, appreciate them getting in touch and let us know what's happening, but we took it out of Canada because it was confusing people. Surely you just have a thing at the startup of the app saying, sorry, it's not available in your area, don't you? And everyone knows where they're at. Very strange, but I'm sure lots of people will be happy because, we've spoken to many people who say they do love this app. So, slightly confusing, but I'm glad it's coming back. Again, sorry, Quebec.
Well, Michael from Oko did speak to us last year, I think it was. He spoke to us about the app and how it began life in Belgium.
We first started with tackling a challenge which is pretty huge amongst the community, which is indeed crossing the street, getting access to the pedestrian signal. And so that's something that we've been doing for, let's say, 2.5 years now. We're using the back camera of your iPhone and artificial intelligence to visually interpret whether the pedestrian signal is green or red, or in the US and Canada, they mostly call it walk or don't walk sign. And so that's something that we've been known for for the past 2 years. And then pretty recently, we've actually taken a new step into that bigger vision, which is more navigation and exploration. And so actually what we've developed is, and what we're actually still developing, is accessibility maps. Because if you think about general maps, Apple Maps, Google Maps, Blind Square, or any kind of maps, most of them are tailored for cars. So there's no real navigation app that is like bottom up built for helping pedestrians navigate, let alone people that might have different needs, of course.
Yeah, but of course, as we've just said as well, Google Maps are getting more detailed voice guidance. That is good as well. Sometimes these specialist apps, as you might call this one, I think it's a good thing because they are building it with the blind community in mind, although they do have had clearly some issues with getting this working fully in Canada, which kind of tells you a little bit about the rollout of this worldwide. It is going to be a slow rollout, I would imagine, if it's going beyond the borders of US, Canada, and Belgium. I think Australia as well. I think it may be in Australia.
Yes, I think so as well. It just shows you the sort of the variation in the types of crossing across the world. Right? It seems strange. You just sort of assume that everything's like the ones that you use in your country, and it's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
And even in a country, well, you could argue Canada is so huge anyway. I did ask Jacob Szymanski from AMI today, why do you think Quebec was different? And apparently they have different arrangement of traffic lights. It's either vertical, where the rest of Canada are horizontal, or the other way around. So, something as simple as that can whack out the AI on something like this, and it needs to be retrained to recognize when it is safe to cross.
And look, let's be honest about it. We do not want a situation where it's given wrong information on that level. That's just... And in a way, look, that's the thing about this. Is it a shame that it's being pulled from Canada, or is this actually just a really smart safety approach? It's like, when you think about it, I'd much rather something, was working fully rather than just, let's try it and see feedback, at Oko App, if it all goes horrible, if you end up splat, that's not great.
They rolled it out in the first place, so I assume it was, deemed safe enough anyway. I'm not quite sure why they rolled it back and working on it, but it's still not available in Quebec. I still don't quite understand that. But heck,
that could be an App Store thing. Who knows? But yeah, interesting.
Yes, could be.
And of course, the other big story of the day, which I'm amazed has fallen as far down our list because it just came out yesterday. The Humane AI Pin is officially dead. Yes. Long live the Humane AI Pin. Yes, this poor little thing never really made it. Yes, it's officially dead. Humane is the company, you will remember, behind the infamous Humane AI Pin. It's announced that the device is to be discontinued and that they are to sell significant company assets to HP for $116 million.
Oof.
This decision comes after the AI Pin faced critical reviews and poor sales performance. That's one way to put it. So some of the detail here, the AI Pins will remain operational until 3 p.m. Eastern on February 28th, 2025. After that time, the devices will lose server connectivity, rendering features like calling, messaging, AI queries, and cloud access non-functional. Customers are advised to download any stored data, including pictures, videos, and notes, before the shutdown to prevent permanent loss. The Verge says refunds are available for devices purchased within a 90-day return window from the original shipment date. Requests must be submitted by the February 27th. HP will acquire Humane's software platform, over 300 patents, and technical staff. However, this does not include the AI Pin device business, which will be discontinued.
Will be shot and buried. Can I just say, absolutely disgusting. So those people that, early adopters went out and got this at the time of launch are left with a non-functioning bricked device that they can't get their money back on.
Yes, pretty much.
On promises that they would work on it and make it work and it will do everything they promised. Never happened. Absolutely disgusting. This is terrible.
It's marking a new era, I think, in waste, for sure. And not just waste, but I mean, almost, you can't call it vaporware, but it begins, there's another word for this, right? A product that comes out, it lasts a year or two, and then it just literally disappears.
Disposable tech is what they call it. I would go further, but I won't do. I think this reminds me of the Rabbit R1, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
I don't think this is good whatsoever. Well, okay. I think I will say, Greg in Phoenix, you dodged a bullet there. Well done, sir. He
Yeah.
was one of our listeners that said he was going to get one at launch and decided against it.
Well, now it's interesting, right? Because HP have taken this on, and I think that's kind of interesting because now it means that all our printers won't work either. But they'll tell you in a nice voice.
Out of the frying pan into
I'm
the
not
fire,
printing
I would
that.
say.
Go away.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think this is terrible. When it comes to consumer rights, absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, well, look, as someone who we know only too well, and we might take some of us back a couple of years on the show, to a voice who spoke quite openly, I think it's fair to say, about his views on Humane, and in particular, the controversy which kind of blew up around the fact that at the launch, when this thing came along, there was zero mention of accessibility. Nothing. Now, his name is Mike Calvo. He's the man in charge over there at Numa Solutions, remote incident manager and scribe, that kind of application you will know Numa Solutions for. And he told us about his thoughts on the lack of accessibility within the product back in 2023.
As a child of the 80s, it brings me back to the words of one Alanis Morissette, and that is, isn't it ironic? You know, this company that calls itself Humane. And last time I checked, I am a human. And I am a human with green dollars to spend on their humane product. Yet I was not included in any, not even the merest of just kind of declarations of, hey, blind people, we didn't have the time or the energy or the desire to put you front and center here. But if you want to know what we do for blind people, go to our website, which is totally inaccessible, by the way. Dude, it's 2023. What the hell? It's 2023 and read the room, bro. Where are we? Who are you talking to? What have you done in your past? It's like me coming out with a product tomorrow and making and knowing and just totally turning my back on our community and nothing when I've dedicated the last almost 3 decades of my life to doing accessibility.
Yeah. And I remember that interview well. I remember the reaction it got as well. Mike did not mince his words. I think that's fair to say.
Yep.
And that interview caused a little bit of controversy all by itself. But you know what? He was 100% right. And it was why I wanted him on. It's why I wanted him. And it's why I've always said on this show, we, don't kowtow to the language police. We're not interested in that. This show is about honest, real conversation. And sometimes you got to be honest. And yeah, what the hell, guys? And it was 2023. And even in 2025, we're still facing these issues. But it was ridiculous. And I think the point that Mike was really getting into there, and some of the context of what he was talking about, was the fact that the people who made this, or the people who were behind this, came from Apple, a company that we know is all about accessibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in their DNA, right? But it wasn't in these guys' DNA when they left. It was strange, and it actually felt weird, because I think when we heard about the people behind it, and that's kind of where we got excited. But, oh well, hang on a minute, these are Apple people, so this is going to be great. And then nothing, not a word, and never a word to anybody. No journalist ever.
No, never got back to us. Never got back to anyone. I don't think.
Everyone was trying. Everyone was on the case. Everyone who worked in this space was on the case trying to get information. No one could get a word out of a soul on it. And that's a damn disgrace. I'm sorry. So I'm not sad it's gone.
Oh, no, I don't think anyone's sad it's gone. It just didn't work at all. I think the problem as well is that, AI is seen as the bleeding cutting edge of technology. And we're still seeing problems with accessibility. A lot of the apps themselves have accessibility issues when it comes to screen reader users, and I think we're just thinking, hang on, this is meant to be the very cutting edge of technology, yet accessibility is being overlooked again. It just feels like, surely we're past this, but it just shows we're not.
I think the thing about the device that always got me was, because of its nature, because of the way it was this little pin, and you think, oh, this is easy because, it can speak. We can talk to it. It's like having a Lady A on our pin, right, on our jacket. And this was kind of cool. But then they announced how you would use it, and you had to hold your hand out, and some kind of screen would appear on your hand, and then and you would have to clench your fist and, wiggle your thumb, and that would make something. What is this all about? And it just and that was it for me. It was like, well, that's dead. That's never going to work for us.
Of course, it's never going to be accessible. And the thing is, as well, like, it was just a terrible interface. Never mind the accessibility of it. I mean, it just shows, a simple user interface is key for everyone. And, accessibility was absolutely non-existent, but also for mainstream, it was a terrible interface to try and use anyway. So it just didn't work. Very strange, very strange. Like I say, I don't think anyone's going to be sad to see the back of it.
No, I'm definitely not. But there you go. Anyway, that's you up to date with today's news headlines. Plenty of them, for goodness sake. Apple, of course, the big story of the day. Would I buy you didn't ask me the question, but I'm going to answer it because, I'm thinking about it. Would I buy the iPhone 16e? Is that what we're calling it? If I hadn't upgraded already.
Yeah, you just bought a Pro Max.
Yeah, if I hadn't bought that, I think I'd have been tempted. I think I'd have been tempted by that.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, I know my partner's got a 14. Sarah's got a 14. And I know she would definitely go for this.
Yeah.
None of the missing features are enough that she thinks I'm going to be missing anything at all, to be honest. So,
No, I think that's the reality of people who are using this stuff. Is the visual intelligence stuff is all there, and the intelligence stuff is all there for those that use it. I will say it's funny actually, right? Because I've only recently started getting into the whole writing tools thing. Remember, I kind of went off on a rant and said Apple Intelligence is the worst thing ever, and then suddenly I started using writing tools. I'm like, this is actually quite good. And what I love about it, and it was just in a moment I had a flash, and I thought I'm going to get in trouble for saying this because I get in trouble for saying anything.
Well, don't say it.
No, I'm going to say it. You can't silence me.
Oh, no, you're right. My mute button's not working for you. Okay, carry on.
No, you don't have a mute button for me. How cool is that? I've got one for you. It's great. But no, I was thinking about, there was a feature in it in writing tools called Proofread, right? Which you can, if you're writing an email to someone, you can have it checked for grammar, for mistakes. And I was just thinking about it, and I thought, I used my Braille display for this. And it took me a while to check over everything. But I would do it because I wanted to make sure I hadn't spelt this with, THSI, or whatever I'd made a mistake on, and the screen reader hadn't quite caught it, or I hadn't caught it listening. And I thought, that can do that in a second? And I can trust it to do that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Can you trust it? Does it work well?
Well, how would I know? I mean, I have to assume, right? But I'm just thinking, if I'm sending a quick email to someone, I've said this before, I was very nervous for a long time sending emails because you would never be sure if you were sending out an email that, was perfect or right, or, the spelling was right or the grammar was correct. And I just wanted a way of checking that. Now I can literally just do an action on my Mac, and I can do it on the phone as well, but on the Mac I can do it, and that's more likely where I'll do it. I can just, get it proofread. I can check it. I can even have it rewritten if I wanted to. And I love how I've got to say, the accessibility layout of it, the way it's done, the way the design works, it's really nice. Really nice. And the way it's built in, I'm very impressed. But I kind of thought I would be, but I was still a little bit surprised. Well, writing tools specifically, I think more broadly than that, I still think Apple Intelligence falls behind. And it's interesting because I keep reading about, new Siri enhancements are coming.
They think they've been delayed. Well, I mean, we still haven't got the ability to sort of look into your own data there, your own apps. No, stop it. Siri looking in and being able to sort of drill down from data from your own apps. It's coming, but who knows when. I'm not impressed with Siri so far, I must say. It's no. Siri, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but you're just... I'm sitting here looking at my phone. I'm so sorry, but you're terrible. It's not me, it's you. It definitely is. And if you do a Google search, you ask Siri to do a Google search, and I found this for you. You cannot access the screen.
No.
Until it stops talking. And it's just... it's like, okay, so a second or two that I need to wait before I can see what the results are. But it frustrates me every time. And it's so many different things like that. It just doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
Yet, it may change. Who knows?
Listen, I want to mention something else because, as you know, here at Double Tap, we occasionally talk tech, and I think we've done enough of that today. So I want to mention this. So I have got into a new thing.
Stop.
What?
If this is the weird thing that I keep seeing in the show notes, that I hope is just a typo, are you about to talk about coverless duvets?
I love coverless duvets. Have you not got into this world of coverless duvets?
No, I keep seeing it in the notes. I'm thinking, that must be a mistake. That must be a shopping list or something. What on earth is a coverless duvet?
This is the best invention ever. This is like the best blind/disability friendly thing ever made, right? So you know your duvet, right? You go to bed, you've got a beautiful duvet there, right?
Yes.
Or a duvet if you prefer,
Or a quilt.
or a quilt.
Some people may call
That's
it.
right.
Yes.
And you have the sheet that goes over it, the duvet cover, which goes over the
Yes.
top. Now, we all know the challenge of putting the duvet cover on the duvet itself, right?
Easy.
No, it's not. It's not easy.
No,
And the bigger the
it is.
bed, the bigger the challenge.
You put your arms inside the cover until you reach the corners. Then you grab the corners of the duvet and then you shake it in. There.
That doesn't
You're welcome.
work.
No, admittedly, on a king-size duvet, it is slightly more
And
difficult.
try
you
Super
end up,
King. It doesn't
you
work.
you end up inside it
Yeah.
like a ghost. But it's fine.
I mean, I will say this. I never would need to go to the gym to get upper body arm work done because I can just do that every day and it would honestly cover it.
Right, wait. If a duvet's not got a cover and you spill your coffee or your tea on it, then it's ruined, isn't it?
Ah, but you see, this is the great thing. So you buy a coverless duvet. Now, it is a coverless duvet in the sense, and there's a funny story attached to this.
There better be. Okay.
But so, typical blind guy thing, right? So I get myself a coverless duvet. This is where it all starts because I had seen it on Facebook. Of course, it's been spending so much time on there.
course.
An ad
What
comes
could
up
go
for
wrong?
it. So I started Googling around and doing a bit of YouTube video watching and sort of like, okay, what's this all about? And so I get into the whole world of coverless duvets. I'm now down the rabbit hole. I'm under the covers with coverless duvets. It's a podcast
There are
cover.
no covers.
And I'm like, this is amazing. So you can literally have a beautiful duvet, but with a built-on cover, right? So it's got the cover built onto it, which is just
What do
wonderful.
you mean built on? What, nailed on?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Stapled. I don't know how they do it. What do I look like? Do I look like I work in some textile mill?
Is this just a quilt, but with a pattern printed on it?
Probably, yes.
So if you've
Genius.
got a duvet already and you take the cover off, voila, you've got a coverless duvet.
You've got a white one. Yeah, that's right. You've got a white duvet. That's exactly, you've got exactly that.
I'm confused. I am
But it
so
doesn't.
confused.
There's no cover. There's no cover requirement, so you don't have to take anything off to wash it. So you throw the whole thing into the washing machine. The whole thing goes in. Now, that is where the problems begin.
I'm sorry, why don't you just throw the whole thing cover and all in the washing machine if you want to wash it anyway?
Well, why would you do that? You're not going to throw a whole. You're going to try and get it anyway. Look, here's the problem. So, well, here's the thing.
Yeah, but
Now, hang on.
Yes.
So you have the coverless duvet. The problem is that the biggest size they do is for like a king size bed, right? And they do like a 13.5 tog. And I love a good tog in my bed, especially when it's cold.
don't we all? Yeah, of course.
So 13.5 tog, right, is pretty good. I like saying that. And you can't get any bigger than that because then it wouldn't fit in the washing machine. That's the problem, right? So you can only get the size, you can only get a certain size. So I'm Googling around and I said to my wife, look, I am going to get, because I want super king size, I'm going to get you the best coverless duvet I can get and I'll find one. I'll find it. It's got to be out there somewhere. People are always buying big washing machines, so that it must be possible to buy one of these super king size coverless duvets. So I did. I went out, I found it, and it arrived, and I put it on the bed. And then I noticed something on it that I thought was a bit odd. There was a big
cover,
a big sticker, kind of like sewed on right across it, pretty much across one corner, I should say.
Right.
And I thought that's odd. And it was at that point I realised I just bought a regular duvet. I bought a literal coverless duvet, just a regular duvet that actually needed a cover.
Right.
But somebody, some idiot online, had called it a coverless duvet, and it's not a coverless duvet. It was a duvet that required a cover. It was a cover demanding duvet.
They were completely accurate. This is a coverless duvet. Covers not included. Yeah, absolutely
They should
right.
have said that, but it didn't.
Well,
so now I have
walking
spent
into
so much money on these damn coverless duvets that aren't coverless duvets, and try to send that back. I mean, have you ever tried to get one of those things back into the bag?
Into
What a
the post
nightmare.
box is hard enough.
Absolutely, yeah. So,
Hold it
yeah, gave up on all that. But no, I've got one now, and I'm very happy with it. I will say it's a brilliant little thing. Brilliant. And you just said
this
it's
sounds
spilling the
absolutely...
tea.
No,
What are you talking about? You throw it on the washing machine, it's clean in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it's the same with the cover on. Then just throw the whole thing in.
You're going to be laughing on the other side of your face because when you come up here, you're coming up here to stay. So when we travel away to California, you're going to be leaving with me, and you're going to stay here overnight the night before. I make that sound like a threat. You're getting the coverless duvet. You're going to try this.
I'm not sleeping in a coverless under a coverless duvet.
You are sleeping in a coverless duvet, whether you like it or not.
All right. Okay. We'll see. We'll see how much mesh it can handle.
What are you going to do with it? What do you do when you go to bed? I go to sleep. What do? You taking half the kitchen with you?
Oh, surely it must be the end of the show. Please, I need a way out. Dear. Okay, let us know. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. What do you think of Stephen's coverless duvet? Got to be his worst purchase ever.
That is not the worst. No, it's definitely not the worst purchase I've ever made. Absolutely not. But I will say, it is a great little thing. You gotta test that out.
Ridiculous.
Listen, coming up, we have got some great conversations for you. We're going to be talking about getting into the world of Google tomorrow. If you want to use Google at home, then we're going to be talking to Callum Stoneman from RNIB Tech Talk. My old job.
Yes.
He's going to be here talking all about that. Well, it was.
He doesn't like it when you say that.
No, no one likes it when I say that. I don't know what that is. I don't know. I feel like I've been erased from history. I don't know. It's like I feel like I've been abandoned, not from my friends, but from my country, it would appear. Was it that bad? I mean, honestly, I imagine saying that we just did 5 minutes on coverless duvets. I think I may have just answered the wrong question on that one.
Stop it.
But yeah, we're going to talk about Google at home because, the Google thing's interesting because we've got Amazon's event coming up. We're going to be talking to all these companies as well when we're at CSUN. Just a reminder, we're going to be at CSUN. Can't even wait for that.
I know.
It's going to be so much fun and some great conversations we're setting up. Amazon's one of the companies we're going to be talking to. And of course, following the event on February 26th, we're going to have even more questions.
Oh, yes.
But Google, I think, and I'm talking here specifically about the smart speakers, okay? Because I know Google are doing a lot of work on the Gemini side. And, smartphones are getting smarter with Gemini in it and all that. But the Google Nest speakers, what's going on there? And what's Callum using? What's he not using? How's he finding it? And why did he ditch Lady A? That's the question I have, because that's what he did.
Yeah. What was the thing that made him switch over? Because he's very happy. We've spoken to him before about it, and he's very happy with the, particularly, I'm going to drop a spoiler here, the video doorbell.
Yes.
I think that's the thing that started it all. Yeah, very interesting discussion.
Yeah, I will say some interesting stuff coming up on that front as well. Stay tuned for all the news, of course, here on Double Tap. Remember our website as well. Tons of places to go on there. Go and enjoy, feast on all the delights of the Double Tap website. If you want to catch up with a review or catch up with an app of the week.
Duvets.
Coverless. Yeah. We should do a whole thing on coverless duvets.
It's not going to happen.
By... And knowing my luck, we'll get a sponsor that it is actually a coverless duvet and it does require an actual cover.
Super King.
I cannot believe some idiot put that online.
Bought it. Oh,
yeah. Yes, well, there's that as well. Yeah, fair enough. Listen, very interesting news, of course, about Apple today and all the other big news about Humane and everyone else. That's it for today. If you want to get in touch with the show, of course, you can leave us your feedback. Email us, WhatsApp, call on our number as well. All the details, of course, you can find on our website, doubletaponair.com, and just search for contact.
Beautiful. And you've done a lot of work on that recently, Stephen Scott. Well done. You will find Robin Christopherson's Guide to Outlook. I'm going to definitely look into that one again because I got lost in my calendar today.
You actually must do that because the amount of times that we set up a meeting for this show and you cannot find a link, and I tell you, I'm getting sick of it.
I need supervision. What can I say?
Right, after all that, I'm off to lie under my coverless duvet, and we'll catch you again tomorrow, Shaun Preece. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't it good today? That was fun.
That was fun.
I'm glad we held on. I'm glad we held off.
Sorry we were late. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's the Double Tap way. Catch you tomorrow.